all about fish. There are over 32,000 different species of fish. Fish live their entire lives in water. They live in rivers, ponds, streams, and sometimes even in a tank. Some are found in fresh water only, like a lake, while others are only found in salt water, like an ocean. Fish are cold-blooded, which means their body temperature is the same as the environment where they live. If they live in the freezing waters of the Arctic, their bodies adapt to that cold temperature. And if they live in a tropical location where the water is much warmer, their bodies adapt to live there too. Humans are warm-blooded. This means regardless of whether it's very cold or very hot around you, your body temperature always stays the same, unless you have a fever. Fish come in a wide variety of colors, sizes, and characteristics. But all fish have certain things in common. For one thing, they are vertebrates, which means they have backbones just like humans. Fish also have fins that help them move and swim through the water. Their back fin helps push them forward, while the fins on each side help them steer. Some fish have fins on the top and bottom of their bodies. Those fins help them stay in place and keep them from rolling over. Another characteristic of a fish is gills. You use your lungs to breathe air, but fish use their gills. The gills allow fish to breathe in water. Fish get their oxygen from the water instead of the air. When water enters a fish's mouth, it passes through its gills. Little fibers in the gills absorb oxygen from the water and move it into the fish's bloodstream. The heart then pumps the blood to move the oxygen throughout the fish's body. A fish's diet varies. Some fish, like catfish, eat plant life in the water or algae scraped off rocks, while fish like sharks eat other fish as well as some mammals, like seals and sea lions. The larger a fish's mouth, the bigger the prey a fish can eat. The lanternfish and the viperfish both eat near the bottom of a body of water. The viperfish has fangs that are so large, they can't even fit in its mouth. It also has a large dorsal spine that lights up to attract fish, similar to a fishing lure. The herring and the mackerel both feed near the surface of the water. Their small mouths are good for eating smaller fish. For protection, many fish travel in a group called a school. In a school, the fish swim close to each other. This makes them harder to catch because a predator sees one large fish instead of many little fish. Most fish also have scales covering the outside of their body. The scales protect the skin from attacks. They also help the fish swim faster through the water. Did you know that fish have ears? Both humans and fish use their ears for balance. However, a fish's ears are not on the outside like yours are. Their ears are inside their bodies and are used to detect vibrations in the water. The eyes of a fish are similar to yours. They can see color like you can. Their eyes are also used to communicate. The male fish uses his eyes to attract female fish. Fish have a sharp sense of smell and can detect odors in the water. There are 3 different classes or types of fish: jawless, cartilaginous, and bony. Jawless fish do not have jaws, a stomach, or scales. Their skeletons are made up of cartilage instead of bones. Most don't have fins on the sides of their bodies. Instead, they have a dorsal or caudal fin. Dorsal fins are on the middle of a fish's back, while the caudal fin is the back of the fish. Jawless fish usually have long bodies. One type of jawless fish is called an eel. There are about 800 species of eels. They are long in length from 2 inches to 13 feet. Most eels live in the ocean and can swim backwards. Cartilaginous fish have jaws as well as paired fins. They also have skeletons that are made of cartilage instead of bone. Just like jawless fish, cartilaginous fish are covered with a tough outer skin that includes placoid scales. They have 5 to 7 gill slits as well as 2 nostrils. Sharks fall into this category. Even though the skin of a shark appears to be smooth, they are actually covered with scales that can be seen under a microscope. Bony fish have skeletons that are made of bone instead of cartilage. These fish have scales as well as a single pair of gill openings. This category is the largest class of fish with over 20,000 species. Black marlin and some sturgeons belong to this group. The ocean sunfish is the heaviest bony fish in the world and can weigh about 2,200 pounds. There are some animals that many people believe are fish because these animals spend their lives in water too. But scientifically, they are not fish. Whales, dolphins, octopus, starfish, and jellyfish do not meet all the requirements needed to be called a fish. For example, dolphins and whales are warm-blooded. They don't have gills either. Instead, they have lungs just like you. They are part of the mammal category. Starfish do not have fins or gills, and jellyfish and octopus do not have backbones or vertebrates, so they are not fish either. The biggest fish are sharks. Most sharks grow to about 40 feet and weigh an average of 20 tons, or 40,000 pounds. One type of shark, the whale shark, was the largest ever measured at 60 feet long. It weighed 32 tons, or 64,000 pounds. That might seem pretty terrifying, especially if you saw it swimming near you in the water. But sharks rarely attack humans. They would rather feed on their diet of other fish. A small fish is called a fry. It's not yet an adult, but it can feed itself. The smallest species of fish in the world has a long name, Pedicippus progenetica. It is found in the waters near Indonesia and measures only about 1/3 of an inch. It is a member of the carp family. It has a see-through body and a head unprotected by a skeleton. A common fish is a trout. A rainbow trout has beautifully colored skin, which gives them their name. They are able to swim very quickly upstream. Trout are an important food source for humans, bears, and other animals. They usually live in freshwater lakes and rivers. Salmon might be another fish you're familiar with. They are born in freshwater. They travel all the way from streams and rivers to the ocean, a trip that can be hundreds of miles long. They might then travel another 1,000 miles in the ocean to get to their feeding ground. When it is time for them to make babies or reproduce, they then return to freshwater and often to the exact spot where they were born. There are 10 different ocean species of marlin. These fish have long bodies and spear-like snouts. Marlin can swim up to 50 miles an hour, and some can reach lengths of up to 16 feet and weigh 1,800 pounds. That's 1,800 pounds. Glassfish are completely transparent, which means you can see all the way through them. They are great as pets, but they don't like to live alone. They do best when they are with their same species. Many people in the world depend on fish for food. Fish help our environment too. They are one of the biggest contributors of nutrients to the various ecosystems near them. Fish were the first animals on Earth with backbones, and they have existed for over 500 million years. Thanks for following Clarendon Learning. Be sure to subscribe. For more free resources, check us out at clarendonlearning.org.
And welcome to Agriculture. Now we have a video. I need you guys to sit back, relax, and look at the video, and then we will conclude. Alright? After we finish watching the video now, can someone please tell me what the video is about, or what you think the video was about? Yes. Very good, Paul. The video was about fish. Now, what is a fish? I'm sure everyone here knows what a fish or what a fish looks like. Yes. So, definition for fish, we have a fish is a cold-blooded vertebrate which lives in salt or fresh water. All right? Now, fish breeds, they breed by gills and move by way of fins. So they breathe through their gills and they move with their fins. They don't have feet and they also live in water. So they would use their fins and gills for breathing and movement. Alright? Now we'll go over here. We have a diagram or picture showing the external parts of a fish. The first part, you have the mouth, then followed by the eyes. You have the dorsal fin, the caudal fin, you have the tail, the anal fin, you also have the pelvic fin, the pectoral fin, and the gills, where we just spoke about, which they use for breathing. Now we're into some of the functions. We're only going to look at 3. Okay? Now, look for the mouth. The mouth, this is where fish would use the mouth to feed or in search of their food. They would use the mouth. Alright? Gills is the top layer or part of the skin, right, that covers the gill. Alright? Or it will cover, or it's, let's say it's under the scales of fish. The other function we would look at, right? That function would be the pelvic fin. Alright? Now the pelvic fin now, that's this fin here. This fin acts as a pedal, or let's say a hand for the fish, right? It's a pedal. This aids in making small movements for the fish. So you would see the fish in the water would normally do this. You saw it in the video. That little fin here, this is the pelvic fin. They would use that to move with, make small movements. Alright? Good. Coming down now, we would look at the classifications of fish. Alright? Now, they spoke about in the video they spoke about classifications of fish. There are 3 classifications of fish. Alright? Classifications of fish. First one we have was Sandy? Right. Fresh water. Another one? Oh. Yes. You can also have salt water here too, okay? Fresh water or salt water. The next one we have, right, deep sea or inshore. Deep sea or inshore. Followed by the final one. John, can you tell me what that was? Yes, scale or unscaled. Alright, so these are the classifications of fish. You have freshwater or saltwater fish. You have deep sea or inshore fish. And you have scale and unscaled fish. Alright? Good. Now for your freshwater or saltwater fish, these fish, they spend most of the time or all of their lives in freshwater or saltwater. Some of these fish, for example, you have tilapia, patwa, alright? And you also have huri. I'm sure that everyone knows about patwa and huri, alright? And you would mostly find these freshwater or saltwater fish in lakes, streams, alright? And also you can find them in rivers. For your deep sea or inshore, these fish, they live, let's say, far out in the ocean. You know, some fishermen would normally go out to sea and they would bring in fish. This is where they would mostly get those fish from, and you would find, and for example, you would have let's say banga mary fish, sun, butterfish, right? Yes, butterfish you will have.
For 2 minutes.
And you can also have salmon, very good. Now for your scale, now banga and butterfish, those fish you would mostly find with what? What you would mostly find on them? Scales. Alright? You'd mostly find those fish with scale. And for your unscaled fish, you would have the salmon. Another one, catfish, yes. And gale barker. Alright? Now those are the classifications of fish. Good. We would have another objective where you would have the types of fishing. All right? Types of. Now there are 3 types of fishing. 1, we would have inland fishing, all right? Inland fishing, then followed by coastland fishing or inshore fishing, all right? Coastland or inshore fishing. Good. Then followed by the final one, which is deep sea or offshore fishing. All right? Deep sea or offshore fishing, right? Good. So these are similar to the classifications that we did earlier, where you have the inland fishing. This is where you would mostly find persons fishing in ponds, lakes, rivers, and streams. And the inshore fish, the inland, the coastland, sorry, or inshore fishing, that is where you would find persons in a nice open area, all right, or a nice open pond. You would find them fishing in there. And the deep sea fishing or the offshore fishing is where fishermen go out to sea to fish. All right? Good. Now for your homework, everyone to get or draw and label. Parts of a fish. Alright? Draw and label the parts of a fish. Here you can see the diagram. You would draw and label the parts of a fish. Alright? Alright, so now let's recap of what we did today. So we did the definition of a fish. Kaylee, can you say what's the fish? Or give me a definition of a fish? Yes. Alright. Fish is a cold-blooded vertebrate that lives in either fresh or salt water. Right. We also looked at the external parts of the fish, where we looked at the mouth, the eyes, dorsal fin, caudal fin, the tail, the anal fin, pelvic fin, pectoral fin, and we also looked at the gills. We also looked at the classifications of fish. Paul, can you tell me the classification of fish? We have 3. Yes, freshwater, saltwater. Jane? Alright, that's good. And the final one we had, Alex, can you tell me? Are you sure? Make a next try. Yes, deep sea. And finally, we did types of fishing, where you had inland fishing, coastland fishing or inshore fishing, deep sea fishing or offshore fishing. Alright? Make sure you copy your homework, and we will meet for next class next week. Alright? Good.